All right, that does it for our sits of the week. Let's go ahead and get into the mailbag.
Me.
Mailbag.
Mailbag. Rah! Rah!
That's pretty nice.
Playoffs.
I warmed up.
You did. It sounds so much better.
Bumblebee.
Stop it.
McKenna
Hey, McKenna.
in Atlanta. Hey guys, I love your show. I was 1-5 to start the season. I'm now in third place in my league at 8-5.
Oh, tremendous.
And going to the playoffs. Who should I start in my flex? Is it Buck Allen against the Sea Chickens?
Yeah, take that. You got him.
David
you
Johnson.
got him good.
David Johnson against the Vikings. Martavis Bryant against the Bengals, or Allen Hurns against the Colts.
And it's a standard league. Because it's a standard league, I'm going to rule out Buck Allen. I don't think he's going to get it done on the ground, and his 12 receptions last week are going down as well, and you're not going to get points for them. So
I know who I'm starting in this group.
For me,
I do as well.
It's Martavis Bryant.
It is
Yeah.
Martavis Bryant for me,
That's
too.
mine.
David Johnson would be
Second.
for me.
I agree completely. All right, Mike in New York.
New York City.
No, just New York.
New York.
Oh, my goodness. Who to start at running back? Hey, look, it's Buck Allen again versus Seahawks, or Todd Gurley against the Lions. I'm really feeling
Ooh.
Buck, but I'm terrified to bench Gurley.
Now, this is a full
This is
PPR. So
Gurley.
it really flips it on its head here.
Gurley.
I'm starting
huh?
Gurley.
I'm starting Gurley. I love the fact that they changed their offensive coordinator, and I expect Gurley to get the ball 30 times no matter the game flow. I mean, that's a little hyperbolic, but I think they're going to give him the
Yeah,
rock.
like 29.
It's hard. I understand that the defensive matchup is horrific, but PPR, a guy who got 12 catches last week, I got to go with Buck Allen.
It's very fair.
Now, here's how I see some of the difference. If you need a big blow-up game, I don't see Buck Allen doing it. I see Buck Allen being the guy that, hey, he's going to get enough catches where he gives you a baseline and is serviceable. And maybe Todd Gurley gets shut down again, and maybe, this is just, hey, he had a bum knee, and he came back, and this is rookie season. He's hitting the rookie wall. And so for a floor, I actually think Buck Allen's is higher in a PPR. But if you're in the playoffs playing against a really good team and you need total points, I think, Gurley's got the better chance of going off.
Can you live with yourself if Todd Gurley puts up 38 on your bench?
Here's the yardage that Detroit is allowing on the ground to running backs. Last week, 41 yards, 64 yards, 44 yards, 42 yards. I mean,
Those are the last 4 weeks?
yeah. Since the Lions have made a change after their bye week,
Yeah.
they have shut down the running game.
And they can stack the box against Gurley. I'm switching.
All right.
Because of the full PPR, I'm switching.
Persuaded.
Not because I
Okay,
think he
now real
can have a
quick,
bigger blow-up
here-
game, but because he's going to
Okay.
have an okay game.
Okay. Now, here are the last 3 weeks of yards given up by
On
the
ground,
Seahawks.
on the ground.
35, 29, 37.
Well, that's good for me facing Buck Allen in our league, but it sounds like both have bad matchups. That's what it really sounds like.
Yes.
So I'm going with the PPR aspect.
That's
now.
right.
I'm going to sneak those catches.
Because they're going to be down, and he's going to be on the field, and it's just going to be inevitable. He might Darren McFadden himself a decent game. All right, Steven Charlotte, he wants to know, and we've kind of answered this inadvertently through our sits of the week, but who should he start? Allen Hurns against the Colts, Kamar Aiken against the Seahawks, or Amari Cooper against the Broncos?
Hurns.
I agree.
Now,
And Hurns is in.
yeah, I was going to
He's
say,
already in.
what is your feeling of Hurns? He had a bad week and then got injured and missed a week. Are you is he just back?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll plug him right back.
All
in.
right.
Yeah.
I'll plug him.
All right, Nick in New York City.
New York City.
There you go.
Bonjour.
Kind of lost it. Bonjour. No, you're ruining Bonjour. Leave Bonjour alone. Do I start McFadden at the Packers or James White at the Texans?
Full point PPR.
Also, P.S.
Mailbag, yeah.
Yeah, he included that in text form, which, by the way, that is 13 G's in Mailbag when you sing it.
Man, how do you mailbag?
I'm going to go with
That's
Darren,
a hard vowel to
I'm going to go
The
Darren
13G,
McFadden.
yeah.
Darren McFadden here. The Packers defense has given up plenty. As crazy as it is, the Dallas Cowboys are playing for the playoffs. This game matters to them, and they're going to be running the ball on Darren McFadden's shoulders despite the 2 fumbles this week. And in a full-point PPR, I mean, it's still, McFadden catches the ball too, so I'm going McFadden.
I would go McFadden just because I feel safer that I'm going to get points. James White could easily outscore him, but James White could easily give you 0 points. So
All right.
I would go with McFadden.
Yeah. George in Glendale, Arizona. Is there any reason to start Bilal Powell over Chris Ivory going forward in a PPR league? The snap count last week looked to be in Powell's favor.
Yeah, we talked about this, that the snap count was in Powell's favor because the Jets were playing from behind. So I don't expect that to be the norm. I think Chris Ivory will still be
this week against Tennessee. We expect the Jets to be leading that game.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I would.
There's almost no situation. Even let's say they were playing in a couple weeks, right? They're going to be playing the New England Patriots. They're going to be behind in that game,
maybe
right?
then. Yeah.
Would you consider starting Powell over Ivory?
Because it's PPR, I would consider it. But this week, I would still go with Chris Ivory.
Okie dokie.
Sal in Connecticut.
That's the championship week too, right?
Week 16?
Yeah.
Well,
I think
for
that's when they.
most.
Well, for most,
when they
say
play the
that's
Patriots?
when they play the Patriots.
I'm not sure. Sal in Connecticut. Hey, guys, I have both Big Ben at the Bengals and Russell Wilson at the Ravens on my roster. Wonder who I should start for Week 14.
Well, Russell Wilson is my clear set of the week. So
That is a really tough decision.
that is really tough. I mean, you saw the last time that Big Ben and Andy Dalton went head-to-head that it was a lower scoring defensive struggle. And, you get that a lot of times in those, conference matchups. Russell Wilson at the Ravens, I mean, he has been on fire. How do you sit him in that matchup?
Yeah, but here's a question for you. In the last 4 games started for Big Ben, how many times has he thrown under 330 yards?
0.
The answer is 0.
If this is a 4-point per touchdown league, he says it's standard, which I think that is what is foolishly still considered standard. Then I lean Russell Wilson, but I love both options, and I don't think you're gonna go wrong.
I'm gonna go with Big Ben. I don't feel 100% great about that. These guys are gonna be very close in the rankings. AJ in Charleston. Who do I play at wide receiver? Eric Decker versus the Titans. Jordan Matthews at the Bears. Marvin Jones versus the Steelers. Or DeSean, punt returner supreme, Jackson versus the Bills.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Marvin Jones is out for me on this list. You've got big play potential in DeSean Jackson. He's probably your highest upside guy, but I'm going to go safe here because it's not just safe with a crappy game. He's been good all year. I'm going to go Eric Decker.
You got to go with the guy who is his name sounds like a dysfunctioning system in ED with Eric Decker.
Wow, that was a long road to mediocre humor.
I thought it was one of my
sure
better jokes.
I'm sure
it was one of your. It can be mediocre humor and one of your better jokes.
That's not mutually exclusive.
Thanks, guys.
You're going with Eric Decker.
Yeah, Eric Decker.
All right, let's move on to the next question as fast as we can.
Leroy in Tampa. Jameis Winston versus the Saints, or Ryan Fitzpatrick versus the Titans. Do you take the upside that is the Saints matchup, or do you stay in the flames with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who also has a nice matchup?
Start of the week versus start of the week.
It's a very, very close matchup. I would play Jameis Winston.
I would play Ryan Fitzpatrick because I know what I'm going to get with Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is safer, higher upside as Jameis Winston.
Okay.
No,
you disagree?
I don't know if safer is exactly what I would use with Fitzpatrick.
Really?
I would say it's been pretty darn safe to play a quarterback against the New Orleans Saints over the course of this year.
Yes.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick has had, he had a 19, 20. I guess he's safe, but I mean, Winston's been around that range. I think it's a coin flip. So for me, I'm going to take Winston. It's
All
okay. I mean, either way. I mean, Tennessee's passing defense is like top 5.
They weren't
Yeah, but
top
not the
5
last
against
few
I know
weeks.
they
Blake
weren't last
Bortles.
week. I'm just saying, but New Orleans is the whole year been terrible.
Yeah.
If they're similar quarterbacks, the weapons, I'm going to take Winston.
That's fair.
It's very close.
Yeah, I agree. It's very, very similar with Winston and Evans, Jackson, and
In
Fitzpatrick.
6-point touchdown leagues, there has only been one game all season that New Orleans has not given up 20 points, and that was still 18. So, yeah, I guess I lean with my own start of the week, Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. Okay. We got Frank in Ann Arbor. Hello. I am playing my wife in the first round of the playoffs, and I cannot withstand and possible embarrassment of losing to her. In my flex, should I start Jeremy Maclin versus the Chargers? Notorious Javorius Allen, his name is apparently not Javorius. It's
Javoris.
Javoris. That's just not as fun.
Javoris!
Yeah, thank you.
Doesn't
Buck Allen versus the Seahawks, or Doug Martin versus the Saints.
Wait, what? I was like tracking with Jeremy Maclin. Okay, it's all right. Javoris, all right. Well, that's a bad matchup. And then
Or
it's like,
then- then a clear-
or the great option, the top 5 back on the year with a great matchup. Frank, don't worry about losing to your wife this week unless the rest of your roster stinks. Doug Martin is gonna be fine.
Yeah, there's no way I'm shying away from Doug Martin in this situation. George in Tampa. Hey guys, it's playoff time. Thanks for the breaking news, George. Appreciate that. Need one more receiver to start on my team for playoffs. Who do you suggest? This is standard scoring. Brandin Cooks versus the Bucks.
Meh.
Danny Amendola versus the Texans. John Brown versus the Vikings. Devontae Parker versus the Giants.
I'm gonna go. You got it.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking.
I
mean,
feel like this is pretty
I would
easy.
sit John Brown down.
Okay.
I would sit Brandon Cooks down.
Really?
Why would you sit Cooks down? He's been on fire.
He has been on fire, but the Bucks are a good pass D. I mean, they don't.
You know who else is the good pass D? The Carolina Panthers.
Sure. Here's what I would do. I would play Danny Amendola versus the Texans, who are good, but the New England Patriots, they score a lot of points. When they're playing bad, they score a lot of points. When they're playing great, they score a ton of points. Danny Amendola has been used. He's been tried and true. He's getting the receptions. So I don't see why I wouldn't play Amendola.
6 touchdowns in the last 5 games.
Yeah,
For Brandon Cooks.
Breaking news. In our scoring system, Brandon Cooks is a wide receiver 1.
I'm taking Brandon Cooks. Because of all the reasons I like Jameis Winston against New Orleans, I think the Saints will be back in that shootout. I'm gonna bank on a shootout.
I'm
here.
going to go with Cooks as well.
But I mean, I think an argument can easily be made for everybody. Ethan in New Jersey, what do you think about playoff reseeding? The NFL does it. Shouldn't our fantasy leagues do it as well?
There's an argument for it, but there's something that I really like about being able to add another layer of strategy in there by knowing and being able to look a week or two in advance of like, oh, I'm playing this guy in that week. I know he needs a tight end. If you got to play the entire field, I feel like it takes an element of strategy that I really enjoy in the playoffs out. So I would vote no reseeding.
Yeah, I lean towards no reseeding because once you're into the second round of the playoffs, all the teams left should have strong rosters. Now, there's outliers all the time for life, so there could be an outlier team in your playoffs. But for the most part, you're going to have 4 really strong teams left in the second round of the playoffs. And like Jason said, that being able to know, okay, this guy, this is who I'm coming up against in a week. This is who I'm going to be playing in 2 weeks. There is an element of planning that I can use with that information. So that's how I like it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think, like Jason said, there are different arguments for it. I think in some regards, I like the idea of reseeding because as a top seed, you always feel like you deserve to play the least good team. Is that the proper way to put it?
The problem with that for, let's say, our league, we have 3 divisions. A division leader gets a top 3 seed automatically. Now, in our league, the 3rd division winner has a worse record than the wild card
And the
teams.
6th seed.
So, are they necessarily a better or worse team because they're a higher ranked seed?
No, but you're right. But the NFL doesn't reseed division leaders. They reseed after week 1 of the playoffs,
Right.
which is I think you would want to do in that situation. But I'm fine either way. So do we have any other questions here? Are we done?
Think that's it.
All right, that's it for the show today. Thanks for listening. Tomorrow we'll have our fantasy forecast, our starts of the week. Get you ready for Week 14 in those playoffs. Let us know your playoff stories on Twitter. You can also check out the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, and we'll keep it going for you all season, all playoffs long,
all year.
always here. At the FF Ballers on Twitter.
Don't
You can
stop.
follow Jason at JasonFFL.
Can't
Follow
stop.
Mike at FF Hitman. Follow me at Andy Holloway.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.